Hey, Pete.
How you doing?
How's it going?
Good, good. Can't complain. Can't complain. So, sitting here in Charlotte with just getting ready. I got back-to-back webinars today.
It's good to hear. Steven, how are you?
Steven's up in the north of the Great White Snow.
I think the
Good to
snow
see
might
you
be sitting
guys.
on his mute button.
Hey, Steven, how far in North New Hampshire are you?
Oh, it would help if I did unmute, right? Yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of on the border of New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
Okay, so you got some decent snow too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We've been getting snow every 5 minutes this year.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad I don't live there
Not even
anymore.
really joking. Yes, a lot of snow.
We'll have Chris Walker join us here soon, and we'll be 4 bearded men and 1 not, unless he's grown one.
Yeah.
Sounds like the
Yeah.
name of a band or something. We've got audience members that have already joined us. I just want to let them know, if you've not joined us for a Unplugged session before, you're not accidentally listening in. We do our warm up live, so we'll make small talk until 15 after the hour. I'm gonna get some water because I tend to talk too much.
Yeah, this format's a little different. So if you haven't attended, it's not really a lot of PowerPoint. This one's a little different where we have 1 or 2 slides out there for us, but really it's about the conversation, it's about the interaction. So as we kick off here at 1/4 past the hour, if you have questions or comments for us, put them in the question window, the chat window. We'll address them as we can with the time allowing. Also, if you want to be added to actually have part of the discussion, that's part of it. So when you ask a question, I'll reach out to you and say, hey, is there something you want to ask and talk a little bit about? We can actually unmute you and add you to the discussion if that's something that you're interested in. If not, we can just ask it for you and address the questions. We're happy to do that either way. But that's really what the session is all about. It's about the interaction and discussion. So it's not death by PowerPoint.
Well, we'll try not to. I understand Chris has some slides.
Yeah, a few. I said this is a little exception, but it's only a couple. It's not a lot.
Mm-hmm. So Alpharetta, Georgia, 60 degrees right now.
Chicago, 44 degrees right now. Snow melting.
What's the report from Boston?
I think it's like 35-ish or so here. Nice and balmy.
In Huntersville, just outside of Charlotte, 65. So I'm loving life.
That's right. You're in North Carolina now.
I'm a Boston guy, but man, I don't miss that snow.
Traveled up there a good bit. My wife said, why do they all look like this crossing the road? I said, because they're dang cold. Love Boston people. Love it. Guess what?
What?
I thought, you know what? I got a little bit of relic here I want to share with the audience. Well, so you know the ergonomic keyboard, right? From Microsoft. They were the first ones I ever saw with that anyway, back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And I used one. And since I started using one in the 90s, I use it all the time. I think Ray may have heard the story. But the first one I ever used was at a Windows. What's the name of that show? I don't know. It used to be Windows Expo, I guess it was. And it used to be one in the spring and in the fall, and there was one in Chicago that year. And when we showed up in the solution provider booth for Microsoft, which is all these pods, is a cost-effective way to do those shows, Windows World, that's what it was called. And they already had a keyboard and mouse for us, and it was, the first time I'd ever seen one. And they said you could take it home with you. And you see this one's yellowed because I guess they didn't use good stabilizers, because it's not been in the sun. But look at the model number. They said we could take it with us.
Prototype, nice.
Man,
Oh, cool.
I don't still use it. It's on a shelf in the back, but I do use a more modern iteration of it. And yeah, these keys aren't yellowed, and I've had this one for 10 years. Prototype. How much do you think that's worth on eBay? Nothing. Would probably be better to give it as a as an award for some contest we do, right?
There you go.
Generation win a prototype of a Microsoft Ergonomic keyboard.
I don't know. Somebody's either really going to love it or somebody's going to pull a Charlie Brown and say, I got a rock.
It's true.
We gave
It's
a couple,
is it PS2? It probably isn't even USB.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It is.
Yeah, you can't even use it anymore. Yeah,
I think they make
get an
adapters.
adapter
But I
for
don't know
it.
if those haphazardly work. But we gave away.
Selling an adapter.
Yep. As a reminder to our audience members, we make small talk here until 15 minutes after, because that's when the webinar actually starts. We go live with a little bit more serious content, but that's the nature of the Unplugged. You get to know us a little bit. We gave away a backpack, and I stole this idea from a competitor. I was like, that's a cool idea. A backpack, like an ancient one. So VMworld, one of the last ones that we did, I had a VMworld backpack from the second ever VMworld, which was early 2000s. I don't remember which year that would have put it in, but it'd been on the shelf downstairs, and we decided to give that away for lead scanned and a drawing at the end, among other things we gave away. But that was the most popular thing, was someone getting a backpack from VMworld like 2002 or 3, the second ever VMworld. It was an unused, pristine backpack, and it's crazy how popular that item was. I've got a few others, Tech Heads and others on the shelf in the back. Some early Citrix ones from Synergy, or whatever they called it at first, Synergy.
I'm convinced the other side of your room, Jason, is just a shelf of all of this collected novelties that you've gone to these shows and everything over time. You're a historian.
Yeah, Jason Maddox has done something like that with some of his early technology. He's got some early gaming machines and in frames and picture frames and boxes and stuff like that. It's a cool collection. Modems, like 9600 baud modems. You know what that is?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
9600 baud. That's from the 80s, probably. That's pretty old.
I think my first one was maybe I think I did have a 9600 baud, but the first one I really, who are you going to call once you got one? There was like very few people that you could even do anything with, bulletin boards and whatnot. So 14.4 was one of the first I used, I think, with my Mac in 92 or 3.
You got to get with Tom Miller and look at his collection of artifacts. You got some pretty one, 8-inch floppy disk, all kind of stuff.
That's a good one.
Awesome. Well, I know we're getting close to the start time. We actually start at 1/4 past, but so maybe while we're waiting for that, we can go around and introduce everybody now that we have everyone here. I'm Ray Swanson. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Liquidware. My job here is to kind of help facilitate the session. If you haven't been on one of these before, this is an interactive type session. So if you have questions or comments for our panelists as we discuss today's topic, feel free to direct them via the question and or chat window. We're also happy to unmute you and allow you to ask your question yourself. So when you ask your question, I'll follow up, see how that goes. But it's really kind of a free-flowing type event. So why don't we go around, and maybe Jason, you can kind of take us through to the next introduction.
Thanks, Ray. Happy to be here with you today. If you've not joined us for a Liquidware Unplugged before, as said, other people joining us, we're a little more informal to start, and we keep it informal throughout. You're not going to have a death by PowerPoint, I don't think, are we, Chris?
Not today. Nope.
Not today. So we keep it light and airy, and we love the questions from the audience. And as Ray said, we want to interactive as possible. We'll be glad to take you off mute, let you ask the question live. And if you want to stay on and add to the conversation, that's a possibility as well. Liquidware Unplugged, and we started this format in addition to our normal webinars. We started it about 11 months ago at the outset of the lockdowns, and I hope everyone's doing great. I am VP of Products and Solutions over at Liquidware, but I also capture and manage certain alliances for Liquidware, and those include ServiceNow. We'll be talking about that today, IGIL, and Microsoft, among a couple of others. Those are some of the most actively worked alliances that we're involved with these days. And I am pleased to have with us our panelists for this ServiceNow webinar. And we'll be talking about our integration with ServiceNow, but also ServiceNow's impact in the industry over the last several years. We have Pete Downing with us. We also have Stephen Connolly with us from XenTegra, and a familiar face, Chris Walker. So Pete, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, everybody. My name is Pete Downing. I'm the CMO, CTO of XenTegra. You know, I'm the guy that takes what the smart guys do, Stephen and Chris, and make it simple and easy to understand. And they're the guys that actually do the work. So I'm just here to be a pretty face and put my opinion where you guys want me to put it.
I love that microphone. What is that?
Thanks.
A full audio microphone there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a blue. I love it, man. It sounds pretty good. I got a couple of them. So
Nice.
5 bearded men, I guess we are. Chris joined us, and he does have a beard. So,
yeah,
Stephen Connolly, would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm the development lead at XenTegra. I worked with Chris on the plugin that we're going to talk about for ServiceNow. I also lead whatever other projects we have with XenTegra. We do a lot of development work for folks. We do custom projects. I help out with those kinds of things. I help translate business specifications into actual technical specs, and I actually get my hands dirty with code as well whenever possible. So it's sort of a summary of what I do.
Glad to have you with us. Chris Walker?
So I'm Chris Walker. I'm a field specialist out of Athens, Georgia. I specialize mainly in the Stratusphere solution, helping our customers diagnose. Work very closely with Stephen and the XenTegra team on the ServiceNow integration, basically making the Stratusphere data accessible inside of large ticketing systems like ServiceNow. We have a massive amount of data, and customers are asking us, "Hey, I need this in my ITSM. I need this in my ticketing system." So, with Stephen and XenTegra's help, we've been able to pull that off. So.
Go Bulldogs.
That's right. I'm a Bulldog as well.
I changed hat. Yeah, I didn't wear my Bulldog hat today.
Bulldog hat today. Okay. Well, ServiceNow. Let's talk about that. Its impact on the industry has been incredible. You know, if people use ticketing system, it seems like it's almost the default go-to these days. I guess Chris and Pete, you want to talk about some of the overall impact of ServiceNow and how companies are using it generally?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is I think we're all old guys here, so we all remember BMC, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
BMC used to be the leader in heat and all these I'll call them clunky solutions, and then all of a sudden ServiceNow came out on the market, and it just took the market by storm. And now pretty much everywhere you turn you see ServiceNow. But let's face it, ServiceNow is more than just ticketing. It's also about the automation, providing the framework to simplify when a user interacts with IT to not just submit a help desk ticket, but maybe say, hey, I need a new mic for my my podcast setup, right? And then it goes to procurement and automates it. Jason, I don't know if you remember Res Software. Remember Res? And
Mm-hmm.
I was product manager over there, and they had a big push around automation and onboarding, offboarding. That's another big theme with ServiceNow. So ServiceNow to me is more than just ticketing and IT ticketing. It's streamlining how users interact with IT and trying to automate their day-to-day interactions.
Why do you think that ServiceNow grabbed so much of the market? Do you think it was a software as a service play that just left the others in the dust?
I'll be frank. I mean, you and I have been in products a long time, and it's simple to use. I mean, I don't know if users would attest to that. I mean, yeah, there's some back end stuff you got to do, but once you get it running, it just works, right? And I think they evolved with the market and the market needs faster than some of their friendly competitors and foes in the industry, right?
Right. I guess it's like we saw Salesforce.com. It's just like, what's contact management anymore, right? After the mid 2000s, just like this is the way it ought to be, type of a thing. That's the way I think of ServiceNow.
They
Steve?
also kind of encompass a lot of different things beyond ticketing that their competitors, like if you're just looking at ticket systems like Jira, for instance, they don't handle the help desk stuff. They don't handle like inventory management, which you can do in ServiceNow. They don't have all the plugins ServiceNow has. So ServiceNow is like a whole ecosystem and platform in addition to, just being a ticketing system, which makes it, very powerful.
Yep.
So we've got Stratusphere. Stratusphere monitors desktops. It goes further and deeper than just about anything else out there if you want to monitor the user experience on desktops. And we started to see both XenTegra and other partners of Liquidware started to see some requests. Can you get this type of data into ServiceNow? So for instance, when we look at a ticket, we can see what you drill down a little bit without having to flip back and forth between consoles. Chris Walker, is that where you started to see our customers start to ask us for collaboration with ServiceNow?
Yeah, Stratusphere's had an API for a while, a very rich API, REST API, but getting that integration, one of the big questions as we talked to larger and larger customers, and they were asking, hey, do you have a ServiceNow plugin? Do you have a Jira plugin? Do you have this plugin? So about 2 years ago, we started developing Power BI interfaces, Tableau interfaces, and ServiceNow, as you know, is not simple. So that's where Stephen Conley and his team come in to help us build those connection points, those Java files to talk to the backside in their SQL database for maximum speed and things like that. But it's really it's driven by customers. I need this data from Stratusphere in my ticketing system, so that when Pete calls the help desk, they know he's working on his laptop at his house and his Wi-Fi signal strength is XYZ, or he's at the beach and he's tethered off his cell phone. So that level of detail gives them, the ticketing guy, the ability to actually solve the problem. XenTegra, Pete, we did a webinar with you back in November, I think, and you made a brilliant statement for a marketing guy. I thought it was just a brilliant statement. No pun there. But I mean, you asked the question, how many things do the help desk actually solve? It's like, I got to thinking about that. How often they tell the user, hey, can you just reboot the machine? I know it's running slow, just reboot it, because they don't have that visibility. So I thought Pete's statement was, that from a help desk perspective, how many things do they actually solve because they don't have this data? And Pete, what was your thoughts around that? Because I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's, when a user calls in, well, let's face it, a lot of users don't want to call the help desk. I mean, do any of us want to call a support help desk? I mean, I'd rather chat with a bot or just solve the problem. But when you do call a help desk, the help desk sometimes is flying blind. So if you call in and say app XYZ is not working, the help desk without any data has no idea what is causing why, let's say, Outlook is not working. And they kind of have to start from the bottom up and work their way up. Whereas with integrating Liquidware with ServiceNow, you can now take the data, open up the dashboard and be able to see, hey, Pete's laptop is running a little sluggish. He's maxing out his memory. And oh, by the way, here's why Outlook is crashing. And so that now the help desk is able to not only solve the problem, but not, make the user frustrated. Because let's face it, nothing's more frustrating than when you're a user and they say, oh, unplug the power cable in the monitor and plug it back in. And, they're just following a script. But at the end of the day, it's frustrating for the user. Now take that and put it in business context. It's frustrating if they're trying to get their job done. So the faster they can solve the problem, the better. And I think marrying Liquidware with, ServiceNow, it helps solve that. And that's the key here.
Yep. Ray, can you make me the presenter? I want to kind of show our audience the architecture real quick, just so they understand, how the data is moving around.
Well, he's sharing that, about to share that. I want to talk about how this came to be with XenTegra. So we decided we needed a plugin for Stratusphere, and we looked to our partner community who knows ServiceNow perhaps even better than Liquidware. And we asked a few of our partners, would you like to collaborate with us to develop this plugin, because we need input. And XenTegra's hand went up first and high, and they helped us develop this plugin that we have. This is a Liquidware offering that you can come to Liquidware and procure this, and we can put it in with any of our partners. So we have collaboration agreements with XenTegra, with Liquidware, and we actually have sold this through other Liquidware partners. So I want to be clear with that we developed this in concert with XenTegra because of their expertise in this area. But this is a Liquidware offering, and you can come straight to us for it through your any other partner, and we'd be glad to talk about how we'll collaborate to put this in at your customer site or in your own environment.
Yep. So looking at this can you see this diagram?
Yeah.
Yes, thanks.
Okay. So basically, ServiceNow is a SaaS-based offering, and then they have what they call mid-servers. These runs on Windows or Linux, and it's just a little Java virtual machine. And after beating my head against the wall trying to figure out how to make that mid-server talk to my database or talk to my API for many months, I got hooked up with Stephen Conley, and Stephen was able to very quickly produce some Java jar files and some processes and procedures around your true application development that allowed that connectivity. So, and the way he's built it, Stephen, can you talk a little bit about the way you built those connectors?
Yeah, so Stratusphere uses a Postgres database under the hood, and we decided that the best way to get the data from Stratusphere in a performant kind of way, something that we can run regularly and not have anything bogged down, instead of using APIs or any middle layers, we would run queries directly on the Stratusphere database. So the jar that I made is specifically designed to provide a bridge for ServiceNow to query Stratusphere's database, and it does so in a way that does not, it doesn't put you on any particular rails. You can run basically any query you want against the Stratusphere database using this Java connector. And we have in our plugin, we have samples of taking machine inventory, taking user inventory, determining some various status things, and that's all cool. But the way this plugin works, it can be used for basically querying anything. So if there's something you need out of your Stratusphere system or your database, this connector can pull it out for you.
Very effective. I've actually, in my demo system, it's got like 2,000 machines in it. So we can manage it through the ServiceNow interface, which I'm going to show you here in a second. And I can update 2,000 machines from my database through the mid servers into ServiceNow in about 5 seconds. So this little connector he's built was really the magic of being able to get the data into ServiceNow. As we look at the interface, it's got a full management interface. So manage my connection to my demo system. How is it connected? How often is it updating? And this is my web interface. So one of the things, we're getting ready to come out with version 1.2. This is one of the requests from our customers. We had 1.02 on the system, and customers are asking, hey, I really need to do differential pulls. I want to be able to schedule my full pulls. So you can control all of that inside the system now. And then you've got full machine inventory as well as user inventory. And then, like Stephen said, if I needed more data, let me drill down. Here's an Amazon T2 large machine that's in our Stratusphere system. And this is, full specs. This is an AppStream machine running on Amazon T2 large. There's a serial number, which really doesn't mean anything. There's the OS version, the last time it was rebooted, the whole 9 yards. So you've got some pretty good data out of the box, as well as the user. We type in C. Walker. And there's my machine. So the last machine I logged in to was actually my MacBook Pro. We're using that particular ID. So, because I have an agent on my MacBook as well, but this data is coming directly from Stratusphere. So very powerful interface just out of the box, pulling in machine and user data that now I can be used to update my CMDB or whatever I need to get more information into my system.
Yeah, I want to point out that we're aware that there's some other monitoring tools out in the industry that they claim to have integration with ServiceNow, but if you scratch the surface on some of those, they're showing frames of their own data in there instead of true collaboration like we have here of the data flowing directly into ServiceNow.
I think that brings up a good point here. We have a question that came in from Jim, and he said it's his understanding that you've created custom tables for this. Why did you go this route instead of utilizing ServiceNow CMDB and asset tables?
Yeah, good point. So if you look at most customers, they already have the CMDB set up. They're connecting it to their SCCM system or pulling it from other asset platforms. And Steve and I, as we were architecting this, we didn't want to mess with their base CMDB. So if they downloaded our Stratusphere base integration kit and immediately extended their CMDB, they're going to get mad at me. So we use separate table spaces so that we can control it better. And as a developer for the company, so that company always has Stratusphere developers on site, or ServiceNow developers, they can just wire it up. So they can take their existing CMDB and then bring in Stratusphere data into certain fields as they need to, and that where data doesn't overlap. Or maybe Stratusphere, the last time the machine boot, guess what? SCCM is inventorying the machine once a week, so it only knows about reboots once a week. Stratusphere knows about it down to the hour. So they could basically override that in the base CMDB. We didn't really want to mess with or taint their existing CMDB or their ITSM framework with this cartridge. We've given you, Steve and I, it is a kit. So this basically provides you with the connectivity, the jar files that you've written for the connectivity, and the base integration to allow you to pretty much drop into any platform.
Yeah, that's something important to note, that it is a kit. And we tried to make it so that you can derive from it whatever you want. And if we don't provide something out of the box, you can interface directly with the Java plugin or the Java mid-server app and fetch whatever you need. So it's not difficult to extend this in different ways to really make it a powerful tool to bring in whatever data you need and associate it however you want.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this question's for Chris, I'm not sure. But Alan asked, how current is the data imported to ServiceNow? Is it real time? Is it 24 hours old? And maybe even on top of that, can you control how often it updates in ServiceNow?
Yeah, that's what I was just showing in the ServiceNow interface. When I'm configuring, and let me reshare here, share your screen. So back here in the system configuration, when I configure my demo system, how often I want it to pull data, and under the task schedules here, so basically I've got my demo system doing a full pull once a night at 2 a.m. in the morning. Then a differential pull, which is based on our Stratusphere check-ins. So if my machine checked in to Stratusphere in the last 10 minutes, that data would be swept into the ServiceNow information. So the differential pull, and that's as low as we can go. We didn't want to put that big of a load on ServiceNow or Stratusphere, but at most 10 minutes old. So my machine reports in the last 10 minutes, this differential pull is going to grab that data. That's a new feature in the new version 1.2.
Mm-hmm. As you can see, it's totally configurable, and you can even turn it off if for some reason you just want it to update once a day.
Right.
Load reasons or whatever.
Yeah, one of the things our customers, Steve and I, one of our first customers, they said, hey, if you're doing a full pull every 20 minutes, you're putting a large load and billing cost on my ServiceNow instance. So we knew 1.02 had some limitations. We just had to get it on the door to the to the ServiceNow store. And now we're working on 1.2, which we hope to get into ServiceNow certification later this week or the beginning of next week. And then 1.2 will be available with these new features.
So, Chris, the customer's interested in this, so they want, and one of the reasons we did this, right, was because you've got your staff that are in ServiceNow all day long, and they're, hey, I could use that data from Stratusphere too. Yeah, you could have two interfaces. You could have Stratusphere over here and ServiceNow over there, but this puts it under one ServiceNow interface, and you don't have to train those help desk people, right, to use Stratusphere and to get the data that they need just to support the, just to see that first mile of connectivity for their users within ServiceNow. So, Chris, when a customer is interested in this, can you tell us how the typical engagement would go? They contact their partner or us, and what would be the typical engagement time and process?
Yeah. So basically, first of all, Stratusphere is a prerequisite. We have to have the data. Then the application, if they decided to purchase the ServiceNow application module, they could purchase it directly through us, directly through XenTegra, or through another partner. And S is Liquidware. We didn't want to be ServiceNow support people. We didn't want to be developers. So that's why XenTegra helped us write this first module. They own the code. There's a certain amount of consulting hours that come with that. Stephen and his team, 2 different SKUs. So depending on how complex you want to get, how much time or you want Stephen's team to help implement that and extend the capabilities of it. But ServiceNow is not one of those things you don't just turn it on and say, run setup, next. It is actually relatively easy to connect the Stratusphere data, but like, one of the customers we're working with, it's a 6-month project because they've already got 6 months or 12 months worth of things that they want to do with ServiceNow, and say, okay, well, I can get you in June. So the customer that purchased in November, his timelines are actually, around June timeframe to actually start implementing some of the stuff. So it is a process that you work through. Power up the plugin on the test environment. How does it work? How is it going to affect my CMDB? That's the first question. Did you screw up my CMDB? No, we didn't mess up your CMDB. So, there's testing phases of this. ServiceNow, when run by large organizations, there's a group anywhere from 5 to 50 people at that company that are responsible for ServiceNow. So they want to test it. Go ahead.
That customer you mentioned already had a trusted partner. They knew of XenTegra, but they wanted to go through their trusted partner, and that was just fine with us. I believe it was Burwood, another partner of ours. And so we were able to implement that along with the expertise that XenTegra had aided, and we collaborated in that. And so it was a good relationship. So I just wanted to reiterate that you can get this through us, through XenTegra. You can get it through any of our partners too. As a Liquidware offering. Yeah,
XenTegra has a lot of relationships behind the scenes because they got some specialized skills like development that they can back up, with other partners as well. But the implementation time, Stratusphere, you get it up and running, then, like I think you mentioned, the people that are running ServiceNow, the help desk guys, Stratusphere has a massive amount of data. So teaching them to run the Stratusphere interface and how to diagnose the 5,000 metrics that we have, and teaching them that new Pete's laughing. He's seen the amount of massive data that we have, but I need to get that into that ServiceNow. Let them press a button. What's your Wi-Fi stats? How do I find Wi-Fi stats? I'm talking to my mother at home. I hope she's not watching. My mother, she's, where's the Wi-Fi button? How do I find it? Well, here, let me just press a button in ServiceNow. Oh, you're running 5 gigahertz. You're 40 meters away from your access point. Let's get you a little bit closer. So having that data in ServiceNow right in the ticket and being able to save the ticket for future calls instead of a screenshot out of Stratusphere that I paste into the ticket makes the ticket that much more rich. And so I can look at your history and look at Pete's machine and a history of time. Pete, you call in every second Tuesday with this same issue, and we tell you to do the same thing. Turn up your microphone, stuff like this. So that rich information right there natively in the ticket goes back to Pete's question. They can actually solve the problem.
See any other questions coming in, Ray?
Yeah, I've got one here from Todd, and this goes back to that diagram you were sharing, Chris. He was asking about the agent gathering data from on-premise and cloud. He said, what about users at home who maybe are not running VPN and are using some other forms of connection?
Yeah, so prior to 2020 and the lockdown where we sent everybody home, Stratusphere, I've been here almost 10 years now, and I maybe deployed Stratusphere externally for one customer. In 2020, I've done it for 100 customers. So now what we do is we put a collector into the DMZ so that my machine at the house is on the internet and I'm not on the VPN. So my agent can report through the internet to a collector in the DMZ. So as long as my machine's on the internet, it's reporting data. If I get on the VPN, of course, it would go through the VPN. So even things like doing a large call center out in Texas, and they have iGel machines. Guess what? iGel doesn't have a ServiceNow interface, but they needed ServiceNow data. They needed that iGel data in ServiceNow for ticketing when the people called in and had problems. So using my iGel agent on my system, reporting through the internet, because iGel can't build a VPN either. So it reports through the VPN, or not through the DMZ into Stratusphere, and then we're talking to them as well now about consolidating that data and moving it into ServiceNow to enrich the ticketing system. So a very good use case. So yes, Stratusphere can be deployed. We put a collector, a lockdown little device, 2 CPU, 4 gig of RAM into the DMZ, and then it pushes data into the Stratusphere system. And then with ServiceNow, I can populate even an iGel, Tenzig, Zerto, because that data is not in SCCM, but I need to know that Stephen Connolly is running an iGel at his house on his laptop and he's having issues. I need that data in the ticketing system too. So actually we can help out a lot of our other partners. Pete, you guys are a big iGel partner. I mean, that use case has come up multiple times with my customers.
Yeah, now, and we're seeing a lot more, iGel in the enterprise, we'll just say thin in the enterprise, thin devices in the enterprise, right? So,
yep.
Even at home. I mean, and the reason why is because, IT enterprise, IT shops want simplicity at the endpoint. So if they can have something that's known and something that's controlled, it's good. But then to your point, it raises some other indirect issues, right? So
yeah. Like I was working last week. No, actually, it was end of January, 1st of January. Large customer, large banking customer, and the director of IT, sharp guy in the IT department. He's having problems. He's blaming the VPN. The VPN is slow. The VPN is slow. Everybody's having this problem. I'm having this problem. Everybody's having this problem. We drop a Stratusphere agent on there, and we're able to find out, you're running a mesh network in your house. You have multiple access points. One SSID, but multiple access points. He was hopping from 2.4 to 5 gigahertz. He was 30, 40 meters away from the closest access point. We showed him the data, said lock your connection down to 2.4, and don't get more than 15 or 20 meters away from this access point. His problems went away. Kind of embarrassing because it was an IT guy, but he didn't have the data. He didn't have the data to monitor his Wi-Fi connection in his house and see that he was hopping back and forth from 2.4 to 5 gigahertz and really messing up the VPN. I mean, it was playing havoc with the VPN. So now he wants that data in ServiceNow. So when I'm the director of IT, I'm calling the help desk. You better know this stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
So we actually got a few comments here. One, Todd said that was the perfect answer that he was looking for. So thanks, guys, for that one. And Sean also just gave Chris a shout out, said Chris was the hero that day. So
yeah, that's him. Yeah, Sean knows who to talk about. Yep. So, we won't mention any of that. We protect the innocent. Yep.
Yeah. So I know we've got another question here, but I did want to just point out, I know, Pete, you've got a prior engagement conflict, so you'll be dropping off here in a minute. So if you guys see Pete drop off, it's not a mistake. He's got to run to his next
thing. Let's plug it. He's got a webinar.
He's the man in demand.
Nobody leave our webinar to go to his yet, but he's got a hot webinar coming up. at the top of the hour, right? So what's it on today, Pete?
We're gonna be talking about WAN and how to optimize your WAN with one of our great partners, Light Networks. So
there'll be plenty of time for you to, if you want to join that one. Seriously, you can. I think one ends naturally while the other one's beginning, so he's going to prep for that and get that done. Thanks for being with us, Pete. If they want to learn about that webinar, they can just Google XenTegra webinars. I think that's how I found it. And today's about WAN, right? You said so.
Yeah, I wrote a webinars.xentegra.com. So
yeah, and you can win a chance to win what for this, right?
A Ford Bronco, but this month I'm giving away a PlayStation 5. So
nice.
Yeah.
I got to sign off, guys. I got to go register for this.
Everybody's got time.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
Pete.
Thanks for having me, guys. And if I disappear, I apologize, but thanks for having me today. So.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
So, Chris, this is one way. This is one place that you can go with your Stratusphere data. But speak to our API a little bit, because so this is a plugin. This ServiceNow specifically is a plugin. Does not have to leverage our API. But you want to speak to our API a little bit in case our customers or some of the people on the line are interested. How can you get Stratusphere into other big data engines?
Yeah, let's talk with kind of step one. So I bought Stratusphere. I'm teaching or training my guys on how to read the data, and then I need dashboards for my executives or dashboards for a business unit owner. So we have simple, pretty nice little dashboard system in Stratusphere native. So step one, just build some drag and drop dashboards. There's actually some on our community site. Step two, it seems like everybody I'm talking to these days is running Power BI, either desktop or cloud version. And Stephen has developers for Power BI as well. So, we can do, some very complex Power BI documents. I'm working with one customer. It's a large manufacturer and international, and they've got 6 Stratusphere systems deployed across the world, and they need to aggregate that data. They're using Power BI to track movements from their Citrix system to their VMware system and back and forth, even geo maps. So Stratusphere doesn't have a geo map. Guess what? ServiceNow does, Power BI does. Suck out that data, and I can tell you that Jason Smith is sitting in Alpharetta, Georgia, on this particular street. You take his IP address of his router collected by Stratusphere, feed it into Power BI with our API, and now I can do geolocations. So and that's just the API. Everything you can see in the Stratusphere interface. So step one, our dashboard's built in. Step two, Power BI, business intelligence, tracking applications, recovering software. Take a look at community.liquidware.com. We've got a lot of examples out there. And then step three would be integration with your ticketing system. So which takes longer. So each step it's one step at a time, but allows you to get some really good data. Stephen could even write, SharePoint and other integration points if he wanted to. We've talked about some different ones because now he knows how to talk to our database. He knows how to talk to our API. So at the end of the day, it's pick your poison. Where do you want it? You want it in SharePoint? You want it on your iPhone? How do you want the data? We just had to mine that data and get it into the hands of people who can actually make decisions and fix things at the end of the day, as Pete pointed out earlier. But yeah, the API is a rich REST API.
That's great. Can you screen share? Can you show our API? Just a few things about it.
Oh God, you want me to share?
Well, I've got a screenshot of it if we want to fall back to that, but you can probably show it live. Love the interface with it. It's the direction Stratusphere is headed as well.
Let me get it up and running here. As you know, I have a slow connection at my house.
Yeah, well, Chris is pulling that up. Someone asked, James asked, what other non-out-of-the-box modules in ServiceNow do I need to license for this?
Out-of-the-box modules, really nothing. Basically, if you have the basic ServiceNow ITSM, because that's where it takes the main data for his ITSM. But if you wanted to, why is that not coming up? It's the wrong one. We're trying to find the Power BI interface as well. But you don't need any really the base modules. even, some of our customers have the application software asset management technology in ServiceNow. So I may want to take the data from Stratusphere, applications installed versus used, and use it in that module as well.
Yeah, you can basically install our kit on a fresh ServiceNow instance and it'll work. We really tried to not make it depend on anything or interfere with anything. That was sort of our overarching design goals, to make sure that it would be flexible for our customers and it wouldn't cause them any kind of headaches having to set it up. So you can just install it, it'll work. It's pretty slick like that.
Let me share my screen. All right, so this is our API builder, and allows you access to basically all the different metrics inside of Stratusphere. So just like inside of the main management interface, user machines or inspector 0, login breakdown, event log, browser information, inventory data, all of that data is available as different inspectors in the API. So at the end of the day, you're just building out the API call to go get Wi-Fi statistics for this group of people. So I'd pick my columns that I need in my system, any filters that I want in it, and then drop it into a Power BI template. Or it's not the one, it's not coming up fine. See if this comes up. This is actually Power BI Cloud, and the one where we have the GeoMap. I want to see if this will come up. My internet is really slow today for some reason. I think I'm downloading a new Windows update. But this is a Power BI Cloud app fed with Stratusphere data, and then these are users. I could drill down here and actually show you my laptop sitting in Athens, Georgia. This is old data, so it's not real. But this Power BI interface, this is using the API to fill out a GeoMap. But the API is fully everything in here. A lot of really cool stuff like save my query, reload a query, different skins, and give me examples of the information out there. What type of sorting do I want to do? Output of do I want the JSON or comma delimited? But at the end of the day, this is building the API. This here's the that's the actual API call right there. So I paste that into Power BI. Boom, I've got it. I'm done.
That's awesome. So thanks for showing that. Yep, I wanted people to see beyond our ServiceNow plugin how they can get Stratusphere data to other areas, and that's the API 2.0. What was that, about 6 months ago that it went GA?
Yeah, in 6.5, which came out in November with GA. Yep. Yeah, so I showed this to a customer. So I got a bank over in the Carolinas, and they've been using Stratusphere for about 5 years now. They use it for diagnostics. So somebody calls the help desk calls them and say, hey, this user has a problem. They push out a Stratusphere agent to it. Then they have to wait a couple days. So they're looking at expanding their license, but then this guy goes through and he does a 30-minute exercise. It's a workbook, and he's grabbing data out of Stratusphere. He then sends that workbook back to the help desk with his recommendations. So we showed his Power BI developer some of the templates on our community site, and we showed him our API, and the guy was just giddy. He's like, this is awesome. I can't believe how much data you have. This developer was like, we're 15 minutes into it and said, can I hang up now? I got to go code. I'm ecstatic. So it was funny, and I've never seen this much data in one place. So I just had to teach him a few navigation things about the API, and now he's off and running and going to take that 30-minute process that these guys have to walk through manually and turn it into a 30-second press the button report.
That's awesome for a good time call, Chris.
Yeah.
Get you started.
Yeah. Well, call on your partners, Stephen Connolly. There's some other partners out there that have Power BI development capabilities to help automate that. And as Stephen and his team build up those templates, they'll be able to, you call them up and say, hey, I need a Power BI template that does X, Y, Z. Say, okay, well, here you go. Try this. And we'll brand it for you or whatever. But yeah, ServiceNow is just, to me, that's the end goal, but it takes a while to get there. So short steps, baby steps. The dashboards in Stratusphere first, because it's real easy. Then Power BI, which most of our large customers are already using. And then ServiceNow is the long-term, but the ultimate goal, because if I can get that data in the hands of my ticketing people, like Pete said, and I've used Pete's quote 1,000 times since he said it in November, they can actually solve a problem instead of just saying, can you reboot the box one more time? So
yeah. So to engage with us, if you are interested in the ServiceNow stuff, you'll see a listing in the ServiceNow store for Stratusphere if you go out there and look. But that's a lot of that's marketing, a marketing front end. We wanted people to come to us for the plugin. So you get the plugin from us. You can get that. Just send us a query, so you can short circuit that and not even have to go to the ServiceNow store. Send us an email at sales@liquidware.com, and we'll get you hooked up with XenTegra or another partner, as well as ourselves, that can get this going, and we'll give you pricing on the ServiceNow plugin. We'll first discuss also the integration level that you need. Maybe you've got the talent in-house to make this happen, or maybe you do need additional integration help, and we can discuss those services with you as well with the partner, and we'll get you started on that. Ray, do you see any other questions that may have?
Yeah, we've got a couple here. So Jim asked, can I use the integration to create automated incidents should Stratusphere determine there's an issue or threshold reached on a device?
Oh, good point. Yeah, good point. So if you look at Stratusphere, I've got about 30 alarms, and those alarms can come out either email or an SNMP alert. But using ServiceNow, Power BI, or any ticketing system, I could write an alarm, say, if a user is running Google Chrome, and they're talking to this website, and this website is responding in less than X number of milliseconds, throw an alarm, open up a ticket. It's a very specific metric that we have the data, but I don't have an alarm for it in Stratusphere. So from a business, banking, Bloomberg, the Bloomberg application, if Bloomberg has less than 5 milliseconds or even 10 milliseconds of latency, those traders that are trading millions of dollars, they're losing money. So use Stratusphere to monitor that, down to the minute level, and have ServiceNow or Power BI query our data in Stratusphere. But that's a very custom alarm that I'd be writing with the system. So, my 30 alarms are CPU user experience monitoring, stuff like that. So use ServiceNow to go pull that data about Bloomberg.exe or the Bloomberg website and how much latency it's getting to its back-end systems, and you could write a very custom alarm with that. And with the connector that Steven's built, that'd be a very simple query.
Great. We had another person email a question in ahead of time. I don't know if they could have joined today or not, but they had asked, how are duplicate records prevented?
Yeah, because, well, the way that Steven built it, and thanks to the Stratusphere system, each user, each machine, and each application is assigned a unique number in Stratusphere. So Steven's actually pulling in that unique ID for the machines and the users into ServiceNow. So that's kind of I think the indexing number that is used inside the database. Was that right, Steven? That was our indexing number, or do we index on something different?
It's slightly more complicated because you can have multiple Stratusphere systems integrated with your ServiceNow, and so therefore each Stratusphere system has its own pool of unique IDs, and they overlap. So technically, we use something called the unique hub, which is just some string identifier, and we combine that with the unique ID that Chris was talking about to make an actual unique ID. And I believe it's called unique ID in the column.
In the table.
Tables.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. So no duplicates will be produced based on an individual machine or a user, but a user may be in, or a machine will only talk to one Stratusphere system, but a user may be, like I'm logged into my laptop being monitored by Stratusphere 1, then I'm hitting VDI or Azure. I'm hitting Azure in California, and it's being monitored by Stratusphere system number 2. So my ID would be in 2 places, but my machine would only ever be in one Stratusphere system. So yeah, that was a big part of the conversations with Steven about how do we make this data unique, normalize it as much as possible so we don't have a lot of bloat in the ServiceNow templates.
And also that touches on something that's pretty cool about the system is it can be used to aggregate data across multiple Stratusphere systems. And if I'm not mistaken, there's not really another way to do that quite so seamlessly.
Right. Yeah, most participants have to use Power BI or something like that to aggregate that data across multiple Stratusphere systems, just the way our system is designed. Yep.
I think we've had a great discussion today. It's almost the top of the hour, so I'm going to ask the panel about final thoughts. But again, if you're interested, if they have any final thoughts, but again, if you're interested in our ServiceNow plugin and the integration to that, there is a listing on the ServiceNow store, but you can reach out directly to us at sales@liquidware.com and we'll get you started in that way with a partner like XenTegra or another partner, or if you have expertise in-house to integrate this, we'll discuss those needs with you and get you started. So final thoughts from our panel today on XenTegra or anything you want to discuss? Chris?
I want to order one of Pete's microphones. I need a microphone like Pete had. Yep.
We'll
That's my
get you
final
one
thought
of
for
those.
the day. That's
We'll
my final.
get him one of
This
those.
is my Amazon $15, so
Yep.
I need to upgrade a little bit.
That's the least we can do since you've been on several of these unplugs lately.
Yep.
Steven?
Well, I just want to throw out there that my team loves APIs. So if there's anything that you need help with integrations or making one system talk to another system, that's what we really like to do. And I'm sorry if you hear a cat yelling in the background because it's a really inopportune time for him to start doing that.
That's the nature of the unplugged. There's no telling what you'll hear on these things.
Yep.
You're supposed to translate the question he has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I'm not sure it would be relevant.
Yep.
Ray,
we have one more question here as we look at this page here. So, Chris, you talked about the community and some of the things that we have up there. John asked, besides the community site, where can we get user groups for all the products? But I don't know if you want to explain a little bit more about the community site and what we've got going on there.
Yeah, the community site hosts our Stratusphere solution, our Profile Unity, our Flex app. It also does like feature requests, so if customers have questions. Some customers have posted some really unique solutions or dashboards with Stratusphere or crazy stuff that you can do with Flex app and our Flex app community or Profile Unity, like changing CPU, a number of CPUs assigned. So it's been a pretty active resource from our customers asking questions, posting stuff. I don't have to go to Jason and say, hey, can you post this on our marketing site? I just write up something and I can drop it right on there and other people can vote on it and things like that. So the community site's been pretty helpful for me disseminating information to customers.
Yeah, when we do these unplugs once a month, it's almost like getting a user group together because of the collaboration and the questions that can be asked. That's a great question.
So, and also, that is the place that we post all of the recordings from our unplugged sessions. We post them all on there as well onto the community site. So in the day or so after this event, you can find the recording exclusively on the community site for Liquidware. So.
Great. Other events we have coming up, Ray? Well, we got IGEL Disrupt tomorrow. We'll have 2 speaking sessions. Actually, it's the same one, broadcast twice for EMEA and then North America. We have a booth there, virtual booth. So if you want to talk to some other members of the Liquidware team, we'll have virtual people. No, we'll be working the virtual booth with real people is what we'll be doing. So so register for the IGEL Disrupt if you haven't done that. It's a great community virtual show in the absence of Citrix doing something similar right now, and in the absence of VMware doing something similar right now. It really is a community type virtual show. So I'd encourage people to register for that if they haven't already. Ray, what else we have going on these days?
Well, speaking of community type stuff, we also have some Citrix user group sessions coming up here. I think there's an XL event in Canada coming up in early March. That's coming out there. That will be out there at that one as well. We also are just after this session, we'll be announcing our March webinar sessions, and we have our next Unplugged session will be featuring the folks over at iGel. So we'll be talking a little bit with them on our next session on St. Patrick's Day. So maybe everyone will wear green for that next Unplugged session. So we'll see.
Maybe Chris will have his microphone in time for that one.
Yeah,
I think he's on that one too. Yep.
Showing up on microphone. Yep.
All right. Thanks to the panel. Ray, any final thoughts before you bring us home?
No, that's it. If you have any other questions, you can always reach out to us at unplugged@liquidware.com. We're happy to answer any of the questions, connect you with any of the panelists here, or anything else there. Chris talked about the community site, which is a great thing. I think you probably have a minute or so here to go and log on to the XenTegra webinar. So we will go ahead and wrap up so you can get over there and get your chance to win that PS5.
I'm going to sign it in right now.
Excellent.
Thanks everyone for joining us today.
Yep.
This concludes this Unplugged session. Thanks.
Thanks, Stephen. Take care.
Bye.
You too.
Thanks.